Guten Tag and bienvenidos, dear listeners. Welcome to Über, Cinco, the podcast game show where we deep dive top fives. I'm today's host, Nathan Hennenfent, and today our contestants will reveal and defend their top 5 workplace mishaps. Our first paper pusher was just sent to us by the temp agency this morning, and he's already got his tie stuck in the laminator twice. It's Brian Ernst. Welcome to you, Brian.
God damn it. This is my good tie. Son of a bitch. It's out. We're good. It's only minorly shredded, and I can go on about my day. But now no one will notice the poop stain on my pants, so we can move on.
I hope you're ready for 8 hours with 2 scheduled 5-minute breaks, because that's what you and our listeners are in for. And we've also got a consultant from an outside firm who has been brought in to streamline our synergy output efficiency core value paradigms. It's Mitch Brinkman.
Hey, how you doing? You know what? I'm so thankful for you guys showing for today's meeting. We're gonna go over the outline here, and we're gonna hit it really hard. And then in 5 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna pop off real quick to do other work, but I will be listening. Don't worry. And then we can circle back and we can reconvene on all this and really make sure all the touch points have been touched and look good going forward. So I'm really excited about this project. I can't wait to see what you guys do for me here. So let's get going. Love it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You forgot KPIs. I forgot key performance indicators. My favorite jargon. Make sure you work that in next time.
Yeah. Today's KPIs, it's really going to be about the fun tie bits. My favorite bit, of course, is when you get to watch Jackson Pollock take a shit all over a tie, and then they slap Jerry Garcia on there and sell it for $60 at Macy's. Oh, my God. That's such a great product.
What an obscure reference.
For all you business guys out there that love to hang loose on a Friday, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's reconvene in like 5 to 10 minutes here.
All right, well, we'll reconvene after we give everybody a quick rundown of the rules.
Let's circle back.
Each player in the den has spent time with today's topic, arranging their top 5 answers in order of importance. Those answers have been submitted to the host, who will moderate the game, awarding points to the player with the most poignant answer.
Starting with their number 5 choice, we'll move up the ranks until we reach each of their top answers. But if both contestants happen to have the same answer on their list, well, we have an Uber stare-down.
You will hear the official Über Cinco siren, and both players must reveal their answer and what number they ranked their submission. An Uber stare-down is all or nothing, with one player earning 3 points. After all answers have been read, the host will reveal the final score.
And as host, I'm allowed to institute a house rule. And little did our contestants know the bonus points were already divvied up, because it was going to be that this is not Casual Friday, and whoever is dressed more business appropriate was going to get a bonus point. But neither of you did anything close to that. So, Mitch, for wearing a backwards hat, you're deducted a point. So,
come on.
So that's a -1.
I've got no logos on my shirt, at least. That's good.
In this fantasy, Nathan, I am a trainer at a gym, so my Under Armour shirt is quite appropriate dress attire.
Yeah, that's
just throwing that at your feet.
Business sponsored. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, couldn't I be like a undercover cop posing as a drug dealer near high school, maybe?
We've always thought you looked like that. Yes. That's why we keep it 200 feet away from every school.
Hey, guys, I'm not a narc. I've got some good grass. Let's circle back
fellow
in 5 to 10 minutes.
Hello, fellow students. Have you watched the latest TikTok? All right, don't forget to stick around to the end, when I will rattle off my Fast 5 of the definitive top 5 job interview questions. Okay, Mitch, you won the pre-show game of Flonkerton, so you can go first. Hit us with your number 5.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Nathan, for giving me this opportunity today to come and address you guys in this type of forum. So my number 5 is a truly horrific musical hellscape that I was dropped into for 90 minutes once during the goodbye party to a former CEO at an association that I worked at. This gentleman, he was old. He was white. He was bald. He was overpaid. No surprises yet. He had been there for over 20 years. Still no surprises yet. Twice a year, he would come around near Easter and Halloween to hand out cookies to everyone in the office. His assistant would push the cart full of cookies. He would walk up to you and say, hello there. Hi, how are you, young man? Here is your cookie. Have a wonderful day, and give you maybe like a pat on the head or a handshake. Feels like a father, doesn't it? Right? He was obsessed with this idea that we were all a family. And so at his going away party, which was 90 minutes long, we all got there 10 minutes before him as we stood around in silence, required to not drink the champagne we had in our glasses. The song started, and the song was, "We are family.
No, it wasn't.
Brothers and sisters we be." That was the only song on the playlist for 90 minutes. The song repeated every however long it is, 4.5, 90 minutes straight of "We Are Family." And the old bald white guy walked from table to table, cluster to cluster of employees saying, "Thank you so much. Like, the memories have been great. Oh," and then whoever names he remembered in the circle, "Oh, Josh, I remember that one time you sent me an email about fantasy football." Handshake, and then going on. It was truly, truly depressing. Second floor conference room, drop ceiling, maybe a 10-foot ceiling, bad lighting, all of it. Just so sad. So
did nobody comment on the fact that the song was looping for this long?
Oh, half the people were like, "What in the actual fuck is going on?" And I remember I went to a facilities person and be like, "You have got to put another song on this playlist. This is fucking stupid." And they're like, "This is what John is his name. This is what John wanted. Just this, the only song he gave us was 'We Are Family.'" I don't even know who does that. It's probably some great group from the 70s.
Sister 60s, Sledge, maybe?
Is it Sister Sledge? Okay, yeah. But my God, I have never listened to that song since. For a great reason.
Don't.
That's my number 5.
This would have been a great moment for somebody to utilize the tried and true technique of playing "We Are Family" for 35 minutes and then just slipping over to Sly and the Family Stone's "Family Affair" one time and then just straight back to Sister Sledge for another 30 minutes.
The old Mulaney switcheroo.
The other beautiful thing to watch was like the rolling realizations throughout the room. Because some people, don't really listen to music or like don't pay attention. It's like some people are like, "Wait, this is the second time it's playing in a row. What? This must be whatever, a mistake." And then you're like, some people are like, "Wait, this is still on? And like, how long is this song? How many times has it been repeated?" And that sort of like going throughout the party. And I remember this one woman who was particularly devoid of awareness. I don't remember her name. Michelle, I think. But I remember at like minute 40, someone told her it's been the only song on the whole time. And she had no idea and wouldn't believe anyone. Yeah. It was like, how
she was oblivious the whole
here.
time.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Did I skip over the part? What kind of company was this? What was the kind of work that was being done in this office?
Oh, it was a medical association.
So a medical association, and this guy has been there for 20 years.
Yep.
Oh my Lord.
Navy, blazer, khakis, like gold buttons on the jacket, gold, probably frat ring or whatever from whatever college he graduated from in the 60s, he not shaved, he buffed. He actually buffed his head. So his head was very shiny, that kind of thing. Always had the permatan going.
I have his number. I'm probably gonna need those tips in a couple of years. So let me know.
Sure,
he's a buff guy.
Man, I truly hate this man. Wow, Brian, you got your work cut out for you. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is going to be a customer-facing one. This is where I was working at a local Jewel's, as they say here in Chicago. I was a frozen associate, so I am stocking the frozen shelves. And a customer comes to ask about a very specific product that he can't find. He's like, "It's here in the ad," and he shows it to me. And it's very specifically for a very specific brand of twice-baked mashed potatoes. Frozen, 2 to a box.
Sure.
How good could they be?
Wait, twice-baked mashed potatoes?
Well, twice-baked potatoes, but like in a frozen box.
Oh,
like you take them out of this tray. Yeah, they looked horrible.
Yeah.
Either way, we're out.
Yeah.
I am not in charge of ordering any of this stuff, but I have to break the news to this man who has been looking forward to these twice baked frozen potatoes probably his entire week.
Yep.
And to describe the look of this man, Nathan, your length of hair,
Okay.
but frizzy and gray.
Okay.
So it's kind of like poofed out, kind of like the alien at the beginning of Men in Black. And then
So like David Crosby, kind of?
yeah,
Okay.
a little bit,
Okay.
but had a whole full head of hair.
Okay.
And like a jean jacket. And this guy is like, all right, so where are these?
Wedding
and
ring?
I'm like, well, they're supposed to be, I don't know. They're supposed to be right here. And I show him to the shelf and I'm like, he's like, well, they're not there. I'm like, yeah, I think we seem to be out. There was a sale. So you're telling me there's no more? No, sir. Whatever was on the shelf is what we have. I'm very sorry. You fucking dildo. And he walked away.
He called you a dildo.
I'm like 17. I'm like, what?
You're like,
did that just happen?
you're like, I don't
That
know
was
what a
his quote.
dildo's for, sir. What does that mean?
But the fact that he used it in quotes, like, you are a fucking dildo. And he walked away. I was like, one, what's the metaphor here? And two, why was that your first insult?
It's always amazing though that it's like oh, well, it should be here. Yes, but you can see with your own two eyes that no, it is not. And then like they want you to change that. Like they want you to stick your hand straight up your ass and pull out a twice baked potato as if there's any way that you can make this happen.
And that's probably how the frozen ones tasted. So, I mean, you get all those kinds of arguments all the time. I believe I mentioned on the show once, like I almost put it on the list today, but there wasn't enough detail of like, hi, the ad says the 1 pound bag of peas are on sale, but you only have the 16 ounce. Is there any more in the back? Oh, God. I'm going to go to the back. I may or may not come back alive, and you can go about your day. Sorry.
This is the
how
worst
often
thing.
would you go to the back and leave them there?
Say that again?
How often would you go to the back for something and then just not come back and let the
Once a shift.
Oh,
Easy. Minimum. Just leave. Like, what are you going to do? They're going to leave eventually.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to wait 7 hours until the end of your shift. They have a day to go about. Just leave. And like the thing I would always do in a grocery store is like look for the baler. Is the baler almost full? Well, then you got to tie up the boxes. I mean, that's a half an hour job, and you got to tie them up, change it, blah blah blah.
Sure.
So everyone's always snooping around the baler, looking to see who can waste a half an hour to 45 minutes. And especially if a customer asks you a question, you go to the baler. Never come back.
One of the things about working retail, the number one red flag of you're dealing with a complete and utter fucking moron who shouldn't have been let out of the house is a guy will come up and maybe he'll have his phone out or it'll just be like, so my wife told me, like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Like don't have, you literally can't even like buy a box of crackers without having a 3-page instruction manual written out by your wife who's got to be so fucking exhausted of being married to this fucking idiot who can't function in society. Anyways, I'm going off the rails here. 3 points to everybody. I enjoyed both of those thoroughly. That was wonderful. Mitch, over to you for your number 4.
Yeah, my number 4. I'm titling Eggs Benedict, short stack of crab jacks, or a real French ghost. Because this happened in freshman year of college. I worked at a cafe called Anderson's Kitchen and Bakery. And we made good stuff. Like maybe half the stuff was good. But he
That's an immediate abrupt change. 100%.
50%. We served brunch without a stove. If you, like, it was all anything that was cooked was either cooked somewhere else and brought on site or in a microwave. So the amount of food I turned out with just a microwave was actually pretty impressive. And a toaster. We had a toaster, but so my boss, the way he ran a business was you get in product, you tell the vendor, yes, we will pay you in a week. And then you tell them to come back at a specific time for their money. And then at that time, you are gone. And he did this for every single item in our store that he purchased. He would pay later, tell them to come back, not be there. And then maybe like a week later, if we had a good week, he would give them like 60% of what he owed them, but it would always be in cash. And people always like cash, so that helped dissuade some people from being more angry. But you can't run a business like that for more than 4 months at tops without getting in real trouble.
Yeah.
And then you start having, refrigeration companies sending their biggest, buffest, former high school football players to come and repossess refrigeration and deli cases, that kind of thing. And then if that doesn't work, then they send in the Chicago Police Department, which this is what happened to me. I'm making a mocha at the coffee station, and my boss, Michael Anderson was his name, goes, "Oh shit!" And he stops doing whatever he's doing. He straightens up and he race walks towards the back of the store, into the back hallway, and then out the back door. And on his way out, yells "I'm going to the dentist" or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look up, and two of Chicago's finest police officers, fully rigged up, come in, and they're like, "We're looking for a Michael Anderson. Is he here? He's the cafe proprietor."
Oh my
God. And I was a wily, soon to be improver. So I had some skills here, and I don't know why I didn't just rat him out immediately, but I should have. Probably because I wanted a job and money and that kind of thing. But I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. He's at the dentist right now. He's at a dentist appointment." And they're like, "Well, when he comes back, let him know the CPD is looking for him." And I was like, "All right, cool." And so they go away, but they just kind of stay outside for a half hour, just kind of hanging out. Because I'm assuming every single vendor that called them was like, "This guy leaves, maybe just hang out. He's probably watching out for you." In that half hour, I make myself a coffee. I make myself a little, egg bagel thing.
Did customers come in while the police were waiting?
Yeah. Customers came in. And also, it was a regular occurrence for the owner of the cafe to scream at a vendor while customers were in the cafe. He'd be like, "John Fragio, how dare you come into my fucking cafe asking me to pay you for your shitty fucking cheese? I'm not sold any of your fucking cheese, you asshole. Get out of here," And then John Fragio would be like, "Good," flustered, and leave. And then Michael would go to every customer in the cafe, give them a free muffin, and be like, "I'm so sorry. John Fragio is one of those real asshole prick douchebags that, come and collect early and that kind of thing, and put pressure on small business who's just trying to, assimilate into the community and serve you guys really high quality, baked goods. So this one's on the house." That kind of manipulative, hot and cold behavior everywhere. And I would have left earlier, but our cash register was just a money tray on the countertop with a piece of wax paper over it, with no record of anything. So if you didn't pay me, I would just take my payment. So it was I don't know if you remember anything, but I went home with some pretty big bankrolls freshman year of just wads of cash, and I felt like a drug dealer, but
I do remember this because you worked here, and Brad also worked there, I believe, right?
Yep.
And I visited this cafe, and I met this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a few of these stories, but this one I don't think I've heard. So how did it wrap up with the police? Did he return? Did the police actually arrest him?
It was weeks later. I wasn't there, but I believe Brad was, and they came in, and he couldn't sneak out the back quickly enough, and he had to go with them and answer for his crimes. And I don't know how he repaid them. I'm pretty sure his business partner, who was named Viola, she was a 70-year-old Filipino woman. I think she paid for out of her own pocket his debts. Yeah. So,
oh my God.
We found out he was living with Viola, and just everything was a facade. Everything was just a thin veil of snobby ass douche baggery. There we go. I just made up a new thing. So
I think it aptly describes. Because I remember this, vaguely hearing these stories, but I don't think I ever got this much detail. Wow. Yeah. He was a smarmy dude. I remember you had warned me when I went in to say hello. He was like, "Yeah, this guy's a bit of a piece of work." And wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, "He's a piece of work, but your entire meal will be free. And we could also put a 20 in your pocket on the way out." So,
my God.
He once had a yelling match with a customer who asked him to stop playing Wagner on the stereo system because he was I think was it I think he no was he that old? No, his parents had escaped from concentration camps, had like survived the Holocaust, and he was like, I don't want Wagner on, please. Because I guess Wagner was a like
he was anti-Semitic,
yeah, very like the most anti-Semitic music guy out there. I guess I don't know enough about Wagner, and that's a
music guy.
I am not equipped with the words to properly describe this, but Michael yelled at me. I said, "You don't like my fucking music? Take your fat ass and like get the fuck out of my store."
What the
yeah.
wow?
Yeah, and this guy came in every single day. Like this guy gave us so much business. And he was willing to tell him to get the fuck out and like leave forever over fucking Wagner. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Also, who wants to eat a bagel with the Rise of the Valkyries playing? Like that's got to be the most epic bagel in the history of time. Wow. Okay, that was another both great trip down memory lane for me and just really wild story. Brian, what have you got for us at number 4?
Number 4 doesn't involve a customer, but it involves me working at said Jewel again. This would have been around 4th of July weekend, right when I started entering the workforce. So I am brand spanking new little baby for my first big boy job and probably the first holiday that I covered. And if anybody knows anything about 4th of July in America, it's that everyone needs ice.
Oh, yes.
Oh, baby, that sweet ice needs to be there. But ice always goes on sale, too, around this time. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen 6 pallets of ice be delivered at one time.
I have not.
But that's what needs to be stuffed in the freezer to get us through the weekend. And basically, if you are on ice duty, you are filling that thing at least every 2 hours, the whole chest in the beginning.
Oh, my God.
You are taking the ice off of the pallet onto something skinnier so you can get it out to the front, and then you're loading all the bottom all the way to the top, 6-foot high ice all the time. Now,
my God.
I didn't realize that probably it needs to be filled as frequently as it was, so I was kind of like, all right, well, I'll do it. I'll get to it, blah, blah, blah. And apparently, I had not filled it right before I left at the end of my shift. So the 6 a.m. old folks that come in the next morning that need their ice right away at the crack of dawn were disappointed. So the store manager took me to the office to explain to me, like, hey, she was very calm. She was not yelling at me in any way, just being like, hey, this is important because blah, blah, blah. She was doing her job, managing. And I like started welling in tears. I felt like I was going to get fired.
Oh, no.
Like I just completely shit the bed. And what did I do wrong? And all this stuff. And she's like, you're doing a great job. Relax. And she like talked me off the ledge. And like, this is the first time I had like an adult figure that like was not my parents telling me I did something wrong. And like there were actual stakes involved. Like, I'm not going to be able to work here anymore. I'm like, I don't want to be fired. And she was like, would you calm down?
Oh, man.
So
wow.
This was like a very tail between the legs moment. Not my finest hour. And, but I learned.
I can totally relate to this because I had a job where I was, it was an office job, and I was very new, and a vendor got me on the phone and was complaining, like just vociferously complaining about something for like 25 minutes. And I didn't really understand what was going on. And I didn't know how big of a vendor this was or how important it was, but I was just terrified. And so I wrote up this email to my manager and the manager above him, just being like, okay, this is what happened. I don't know. Like, I thought, he doesn't want to work with us. He's whatever, blah, blah, blah. I go on for like a whole paragraph and I'm like, if there's anything else, like I'll talk to you, blah, 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 blah. And then my manager hits reply all, and it just says, I'll reach out to him. And I was like, God, I must have looked like such an idiot because like it was like not a big deal at all in the grand scheme of the business. Like, you're just like, yeah, I'll send him an email, like whatever. And I was just like pouring my soul out, being like, please, like, Nathan, just don't screw this up. You just got this job. Oh, I was so embarrassed afterwards. but I
At
learned.
least you didn't cry in front of him. Mine was worse.
Like if you read the email I sent, there's no way you would picture me not crying as I was typing it.
Oh, I'm sure your there's salty tears clogged the
Yeah.
keyboard for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
well,
so, man, so like Brian, this is like, man, imagine this Brian putting more pressure on himself than other people. This is surprising. I've never seen this in Brian before.
So out of character, right?
Yeah.
So early.
this was the moment that Brian became the man he is today. He was a freewheeling, carefree guy just blowing with the wind, and then the ice incident of 2007, and it was all over.
So cool.
I'm once again, I've given you both 3 points. I am having a good time as host today. This is enjoyable. Mitch, it's back to you for number 3.
Sure. This one I'm calling the unwelcome wagon, and I got this job as a marketing manager for a moving company, and I was a one-person department. So I was gonna break them into a brand new territory. They already ruled Chicago. They wanted the suburbs, so I was brought in to build out this network, find a bunch of partners, real estate agents, brokers, mortgage companies, all that kind of thing. And so I go in the first day. And the guy who ran this company was very much like let's get things done, like we're moving, we're entrepreneurs, we're interrupters, man, like fuck the red tape, like let's just get to it, let's kill it, and in the interviews, I remember he used phraseology to be like, I can just tell you've got the right like temperament, and I'm gonna turn you into a fucking killer, like you are gonna be a killer. And he's like, if you do this right, we're talking. I'm going to double your pay. Like I'm going to turn you into a stone cold all-star, like that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. Like let's temper it a little bit, but like, you're clearly excited. Good. And
this is a moving company, right?
Yes.
That's all you do? Yes.
but
Okay.
interrupting the industry, baby, using cutting edge software to make your moves just a little bit easier. And so, also, he said, like, it's going to be me and you working together. Like, I'm going to be right there with you. Like, you're developing projects. I'm going to give you ideas. I'm going to make everything run so well for you. First day, he's like, welcome to the spot. They had a brand new office. It was very beautiful, like an old warehouse, giant window on the ceilings, like light everywhere, like a gym, everything right there. Great office, great setup. And he's like, okay, first day, I'm sorry, but we're just going to jump right in. All right. And I was like, cool. Yeah, let's do it. He's like, all right, I'll be back. I got a quick call with one of our vendors. I'm trying to negotiate a new price for us. I'll be back in like 5 or 10 minutes. Then I'll get you your computer and everything, and we'll hit the ground running. And I'm like, awesome. Sounds great. He goes, takes his call. And I'm sitting there, and they have like a hangout area where they do meetings. So it's like, like wooden staired benches or whatever. There's some like bean bags around, so I'm chilling.
So you feel like it's not a meeting; it's you're hanging out. It's
exactly.
Not,
yeah, we're just collabing in a free space. That's how ideas move at the speed of light, baby. And so like 15 minutes goes by, 20 minutes, and then I go to the HR lady, like second in command, and say, hey, can I get a cup of coffee? She's like, oh yeah. K-cups over there. We got creamer, yada yada. We got snacks. Boom, 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 boom. It's all here. They had a tapped beer keg too. Like, they had that. So I'm like, this is okay, cool. Fridays will be awesome here. Get my cup of coffee, get a little banana, get a granola bar. I walk around and introduce myself to other people. Like an hour and a half has gone by. I'm like reading some materials they have for me. I'm like, hey, where's this guy? Is he coming back? Is boss man coming back? She's like, well, he's on a call with, Googly Tech or whatever. Like he'll be right back. Sure. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, boss man's coming back. Never came back.
What?
I did not see boss man for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. 2 weeks. And so like by the lunch, I'm like, what's going on? Like, where is he? And the number 2 in the company is like, I don't know. I'll call him or I'll text him. We'll try and find him. No one, he's not in the building. Turns out he's left the building. No one knows where he is. So I'm like, all right, well, can I get my computer? Or like what? And she's like, oh, I don't know. He's the one that handled all that. So I don't know. And I was like, well, like, do you want to go check his office? And she's like, I guess I could. I'm like, yeah, you probably should. And thankfully there was like a computer there. So I started using that, and I ended up switching out computers like 3 weeks later. But So I just kind of got on the computer and I was like, do we have like the marketing materials and the contact sheets that he said he had? And she's like, oh, I don't know where that is. And I was like, okay. And she's like, but you can just kind of get started on your work though. Just kind of, figure something out. And I was like,
okay, so you just like invent your own position basically.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Over a 2-week period. So you just use your own resourcefulness and intuition and you start doing work. And then you say he comes back 2 weeks later. What happens when he returns? What's his explanation? What does he say about what has been going on?
So 2 weeks later, he comes back and it turns out no one heard from at all in the first 4 days. And it turned out he went to his girlfriend's house and then checked himself into the like like the mental health wing at whatever hospital he was at. So he was having some real issues. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So he clearly needed help. He got the help he needed, but he didn't tell anyone for like 4 days. And it wasn't until his girlfriend accidentally picked up a call from the head of the movers, that department, that he found out what was going on. And the head of the movers was his best friend too. So like he didn't even tell his best friend. And so he comes back and so I'm like, all right, I've built out this general plan here, like off of materials I've just found on the internet of like, I think this would be a good idea to start here, here, and here. And he was like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I've got all this whole other like plan I've already built. So like, yeah, just we're going to scrap all that. And he gave me this other plan, which was basically the same thing. So like, all right, cool. And then I found out the information he had, all these contacts. He had his like a friend of his that was really good with coding and hacking or whatever, hacked into like the like Realtors Association with someone else's password, and then stole all this, like got all this information. Yeah, so it was utterly batshit. And it continued to be a trend where I'd work on things, be like, hey, I'm doing this nonprofit event we're going to do with this local education charity. We're going to do backpacks. We're also going to partner with like Metropolitan Brewing. We're going to have this great event here because we had this great office and this big space. I'm like, let's put it to good use here. Do all this legwork, call people, get things like lined up, and then he'd be like, but like, is that really us though?
What?
They'd be like, what do you mean? This is exactly what you're telling me to do. And then he would just never respond to emails. He would just never give me the go ahead for things, never give me the budget. And then I have to go and call people back and be like, I'm sorry, but we're not going to help kids this year. Sorry about that. Even though we say we do, we're not going to help kids.
What?
So yeah. And there was like legitimately 4 meetings he set up with other vendors or potential big partners where he's like, we're going to go meet him for lunch. It's going to be great. There's going to be a great relationship for us with this like high tech cleaning company. Like we're going to create all these synergies and these crossovers. We're going to find this new market. Didn't show up for the lunch. Didn't respond to a single email beyond the first one. Didn't respond to anything. Yeah.
Are these people still in business? Do you know?
Yes,
they are still in business. That is utterly shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. But turned out all that thing I was supposed to do was like bring it to the suburbs. They just reversed completely on all of that. It was like just an immediate reversal. Like within a week, they made the decision and just like, yeah, it was crazy. So
from when you started this story, I had no idea the roller coaster was going to be abandonment, serious mental illness, corporate espionage, and then just complete like dissolval of your role.
Yep.
Like what? How did this all happen?
And then
no, go ahead.
It happened cool. They bought a building which they thought they could flip within a month for like an extra $500,000, and then found out that it actually was going to cost the purchase price to retrofit it so it could actually be up to code. And so all that money they would have spent on other things, then they just had to cut the entire marketing efforts that I was.
Why are you flipping buildings?
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah.
And then were you part of the cuts of that because of this ill-advised purchase?
They bought it like let's say they bought it like, I don't know, January 1st or whatever, and then by January 15th they're like, oh, we've got to make these improvements, and then by like February 5th they made the decision, and then February 7th my whole department and job was gone. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
it was
so
like,
wow.
Yeah.
Mitch, I've been trying to find reasons to deduct points from you, but I simply can't. These stories are outrageous.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah, it was absolutely.
That is mind-boggling.
One more. So I drove a branded smart car for this company.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Smart cars feel much more safe than what they look. I'll say that first off here. But so there was something wrong with one of the tires, and it exploded on the highway. On 90, it's going 65. Boom! Sounded like a gunshot went off. And it's just, the wheels going nuts. Like it's a tiny car. I look at my right mirror. There's some cars come up on my right. Chicago people are zooming, baby. I thank God get over right away. There's an exit right there. Thank God. Get off on the exit, drive like a block, and pull off on a side street. And turned out there was like an air bubble in the tire that should have been caught like the last time it was serviced. It wasn't. And it actually exploded on the inner part of the tire, not like out. And so I called the dealership where we got the car, where I was told like this is our guy. I call them, they come and tow it, they fix it. I pay for it on my corporate card. I get back to the office. Next day, I get harangued. They're like, "Oh, why did you go to the dealership? That cost us $650." And I was like, "What do you mean? It was exploded on the highway." And like, next time you need to like bring it back to the office. And then because we have a guy that we know, it's like a discount tire store that we could have gotten that done for like half the price.
Oh my God.
No, like, we're happy you're alive. No, like, we're happy you didn't get T-boned by a fucking semi in a smart car on the Dan Ryan or whatever highway on 90 I was on. Yeah. At that point, I was like, this is fucking horseshit. Yeah. So.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I literally am speechless. Brian, like, just get us out of this company. Like we all want to leave this company. That was an amazing story, Mitch. Wow. Brian, what do you have? We're on your number 3.
If you're not noticing a pattern, this one also is going to take place at a Jules. And it will also take place in the freezer. I worked with some very interesting characters. I remember being young, innocent, big wet boy, and being offered pills out of old film canisters that I had to politely say, no, thank you. People trying to coax me out on the smoke breaks all the time. And then wait, guy.
What does that mean? Coax you out on the smoke breaks?
Like, come on, let's just go outside and it's like, come out with me. Just so I have someone to talk to and I'll give you one. I'm like, I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I thought you meant like other drugs, or they like, we're gonna.
No, okay. Like just like people who are bored on their smoke breaks and it's like, hey, if you pick up smoking, we can do this together. Okay. Like, no, I don't care.
Got it. Okay.
I'd rather just sit on the John for an extra 5 minutes. All right.
Was John always okay with that?
Yeah, he's fine. Then there's this one weird guy. This guy, very tall, lanky kind of guy. And he was somebody who was a year or two older than me. So I kind of knew him through grade school. But like when I was in high school, he was already in college sort of thing. He was a little bit older, but he still worked at the store. Okay. And he was just like that guy that like always wanted to do the thing that got the attention. Like, I'm the fun guy. But he would just always try to up the ante. And like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And it's all led up to one day, this guy wheels in a whole baking tray of apple pies. So like they're all frozen. He stacked them up on the trays, put them in the freezer. He's like, I'm just going to keep these in here overnight because I got to get baked right away in the morning. All right, fine, no problem. And then Dan's like, come here. We go in the freezer. And I was like, oh, what's up? He turns around.
People are trying to get you to go places a lot in this store.
He has his fly unzipped.
Oh my gosh.
His scrotum in his hand.
Oh no, Brian.
And he teabags a pie.
For how long?
5 seconds.
So he exceeded the 5-second rule.
Yeah.
He touched his scrotum to the top of an apple pie and put it back on the tray.
Did he do it in full view of your eyes, or did he put the pie behind his body and obscure? the teabagging?
I saw it from the side.
Okay.
And then when the pie went back, there was a warm mark on top of me.
Oh,
Oh.
So I did what any teenager would do. I laughed. I left it. We left the freezer. He went down the hallway. I snuck back into the freezer and I threw away that entire shelf of pies.
Oh, thank God for you, Brian.
Wait,
wow.
why the whole shelf?
Because it was near it. Like, I was like, it's like, they're going to notice one pie missing. They're probably not going to miss the whole shelf
That's
if you like do it right. So like, I just threw them all away.
Okay,
Because I was like, what else do you do?
a coworker showing you his scrotum. That's the number one terrible thing here. When a pie gets baked, all those germs are going to be killed. So it's not like anyone's going to. I know, guys. I know. But you could have taken one of those pies home.
You're trying to make me the bad guy here for wasting
You're
pie?
wasting product. That's a bunch of that's some margin. That's some profit you threw away there. I don't know. I know.
Maybe you belonged at that moving company, you monster.
I mean, but it didn't cross your mind to, get this guy fired, which that is certainly at least a verbal warning at that point.
Brian's no narc.
So if you guys remember a previous episode, this is the one where I couldn't even have anything brought against the 20-year veteran that threw a milk crate at me.
Oh, that's right.
In violence. Yeah. So there was nothing going to be had with this serial teabagger. Yeah. I'm assuming it happened more times than that one time.
Do you think, you described him as a certain character where it's the question of if there's no one there to watch, does he ever teabag?
Probably not. Probably not. He needs the audience. And the fact that I was there to witness it that day made it all the worse. Yeah. And I've never forgot that. I still remember his name too. First and last. It's like burned in my mind. I will like see it forever. And I'm like, I wonder where he is now.
Just see that warm
He's
spot.
probably working at a bakery, and that was like the scariest thing I could think of.
Oh, okay. This is making me sad. Mitch, you're getting 3 points again. Brian, I'm only giving you 2 just because that made me want to throw up a little bit. But this,
fine. My heroics are not enough for an extra point.
I mean, and
I see what it is.
Mitch raises a good point. I hate to see a lot of good food go to waste. After only one pie.
Next time I'm serving you the teabag pie, Nathan.
You could have saved the rest of the pies and only got rid of the one that was violated. But anyways.
If you teabag post-bake, that's another issue. If you teabag pre-bake, then you're fine.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Words to live by. Mitch, what? And if these have been your first 3, gentlemen, I am really worried about what we're about to dive into. So, Mitch, what was number 2?
Yeah. My number 2 is called Dr. Tom MD, Major Douche. This one was I was working at this medical association, and I was at the yearly conference. And, so we have all the member doctors there, and it was after all the day's events, whatever, are over, and we're leaving the convention center. I'm getting to a cab with another coworker who's older than me, more senior, and a couple member doctors who are going back to the same hotel. So we split up a big van cab, and then the doctors go, "Oh, actually, let's go to," and I don't remember the name of the bar, but I'll name it now, and you'll get like the idea of it. This is suburban Orlando. It's called let's call it like Shark's Last Stand or something like that. So it's Shark's Last Stand is, big format, just bag of grease everywhere. Just people just getting hammered, and they're real sleazy, and it's Florida. So like everyone, either you're in town for a conference or you've just had a terrible shift at Disney World. Those are the only people that exist in this space. So I head to Shark's Last Stand with Dr. Tom and a buddy of his, and I don't remember his buddy's name, but I didn't want to go initially because, I don't know these guys, and, don't want to go to Shark's Last Stand by myself with strangers. But then my coworker goes, no, go with them. Like, show them a good time. Like, be like, are they like the association's, representative here? Like, go with them. You'll have a good time. Go with them. Like that kind of thing. And I literally am like, she physically pushed me out of the cab with them. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go. And we get out of the cab, and it's like Dr. Tom basically takes a mask off, and he's just like, like, are you ready to party? Like that kind of shit. And he's like, Mitch, I'll tell you what. He puts his arm around me. He's like, I've got my corporate card, and we're going to have ourselves a fucking good time. You know, that kind of shit. So we get into Sharks, and he puts down his corporate card, and he says to the bartender after he takes the orders, like, expense it, bitch. Like, I remember that. He said, like,
those were his exact words.
He yelled that out, like, expense it, bitch. And so he's expensing these drinks back to his practice in somewhere in Pennsylvania. And this man only drank either tequila sunrises or shots of tequila. And if you ever had a tequila sunrise, it is a disgusting, syrupy, overly sweet drink, which you should maybe have one, I think, before your tum.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah. Unless you're Brian, then, you know, drink them all day long. But so he would, you know, he like yelled out also, like, give me whatever fucking tequila it was. It was, you know, Casa Dobel Premium or whatever, like $40 a shot for tequila. We start off with tequila shots. And he is just in full, like, harass every single woman you see, offer them drinks, tell them I'll buy you, like, just get on my tab, I'll buy you whatever you want, like, hang out with me, or like come back to my hotel room. And
Gross.
it was just utter mayhem. Again, Orlando, either you're in for a conference or you had a terrible shift at Disney World. There's no in between. And he brought me around as like his little, you know, like a talking piece, basically, or like bait for people to have conversations with us. And he kept asking, like, every single woman he talked to if they were game for him or for me. And it was like, I don't want you asking these strangers, like, do you want to fuck my young friend here, basically? I also wanted to be like, I'm not your friend either. I've been pulled into this situation. And there were two women there that sat down at our table. I don't remember their names, but they definitely had just gotten off a very long shift at Disney World, and they were looking to forget for sure. And they took all the free drinks they could take from Dr. Tom, and but they wouldn't talk to Dr. Tom. Like, they told Dr. Tom to buzz off, basically. And so I'm sitting there with them, and it felt like I was inside. You know those shows on like HBO at night? It's like, you know, it's like what's it called? Like Sex on the Riviera, or like, you know,
Real Sex 20.
Real Sex. Thank you. Yeah. I felt like I was in a Real Sex episode, because they were just asking me questions like, do you like to do this position? Or like, do you do this? Have you done this? What do you want to? And I, again, didn't know these women, was very uncomfortable. And then a gentleman came in to the restaurant who was much taller than me, what looked like he worked out. And they immediately were just like, that guy, we need to fuck him tonight, and called him over, bought him drinks on Dr. Tom's tab. And then before I could leave, I just watched them all like negotiate a night of debauchery. And I was like, I need to go. I just feel so filthy. I feel like I need to take a shower. I never want to come back to Florida. I certainly never want to work at Disney World. And I was able to finally, like, I got up and was going to leave the bar, and Dr. Tom got me in his shoulder grasp one more time, and was like, are you fucking leaving? What are you know, a fucking pussy or something? Like, just all of the worst, terrible male chauvinistic, intense, drunk bullshit you could think of. And then just before I leave, his friend comes back, and they're chatting, and they mention their families. And it turns out, I find out in this moment, Dr. Tom pulls up a picture that he shows his friend, who he knows but not too well, and his friend like asks about his kids. Turns out Dr. Tom is an Orthodox Jew when he's at home, and so like he lives like a much more straight edge lifestyle back in Pennsylvania, and he is a whole nother person on vacation, and he has two lovely little children and his wife, and they're in like holiday clothing, basically like high holiday clothing in this photo. And I saw that, I'm like, you are just such a piece of shit. And then he still has me like around the shoulder. He orders 3 more shots of tequila, And of course, as like a 25-year-old, I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I'll do another shot of tequila. You know, if you're gonna make me have another shot of tequila, I'll do another shot of tequila. We do one more shot, and then I'm about to go. Him and his buddy. Then like there's no women around to talk to, so like he doesn't care about me anymore. So he like lets go of me. And they walk away, and then I just before this is my PS or coup d'etat, if you will. There was a group of looked like they had just gotten off a ship to Disney World, tired people. I bought them all shots of tequila and whatever drink they wanted and put it on Dr. Tom's tab.
There we go.
And then I left.
Nice.
Yes. 2 days later,
What a
Dr.
hero.
Tom walks by the booth that I'm manning in the sobering light of day. And he's like, oh, hey. And he just like terrified look on his face and his eyes, when like all the recognition happens. And he comes over, he's like, hey Mitch, how the past 2 days been at the conference? And like very, very awkward. And I was like, it's been good, Dr. Tom. You're probably late for something. You should probably like get on, get going there, buddy. Yeah. So
oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
What kind of doctor was Tom? What was his area of medicine? Do we know?
Oh, you guys are gonna love this. Family medicine. Woo!
Oh.
Yep.
Boy, that makes it so much worse.
Right.
Providing for the American family.
Yes.
Wow.
Dr. Tom MD.
Well, that was another epic that I'm gonna need to sit down and think about for a while.
I know these are long, but they're so cram packed.
That's Brian. Over to you while we all try and pick ourselves back up after spending a night with Dr. Tom.
Oh, I'm so glad I never had to. Jesus. Wow. All right, so I'm on my number 2. This one, we're going to go to a competitor. We're going to go to Dominic's, which no longer exists.
Another grocery store.
Specifically, the corporate warehouse.
Oh.
Now, this would have been a summer position. I worked 2 summers at Dominic's. One doing what my dad used to do, which was picking orders and loading the trucks. But the second summer, all those jobs were filled. So I had to work maintenance for half the pay and twice the bullshit. So this one's going to be a personal accomplishment. And I'm going to tell you what the accomplishment was and how I pulled it off, because I was quite impressed with how this worked out. I watched nearly an entire season of Modern Family in a single shift.
Wow.
This is how I pulled this off. We all, the people who had worked maintenance like several summers before me, who were still around, kind of knew the lay of the land and how everything works. They're like, all right, we got a project this summer. This project will take us 4 days. If we play our cards right, we'll make it last 3.5 months. All right? And the project was the multiple areas of the warehouse. There's deli, which is just refrigeration. And then the other side, there's freezer, which is obviously frozen, so different temperatures. But above the deli, the air conditioning units were rusting. So they needed to be grind the rust off, prime, and repaint.
Okay.
Almost all of this was happening on the undercarriage. So the metal steel beams that were supporting the air conditioning units on the roof in the summer.
Oof.
So underneath this, the whole roof is covered in gravel. So we're constantly bringing up pieces of cardboard so that you can lay on them or put your knees on them so you could actually get under. And then you're given a grinder, headphones, safety goggles, and then primer and paint. So you're constantly switching between this, and the sparks are flying, doing all this stuff. I'd never used a power tool before, and they're like just giving this to me, and I'm like, just do this. And I'm like, all right. So I work really hard the first week or 2 on the job. I'm doing it, and basically I kind of get the heads up from the other guys, like, you're moving too fast. And I'm like, understood, got it, no problem. We can milk this. Right next to where we got on the roof was this little hatch. So you had to climb the ladder to get this, and we had this milk crate bucket. So you had to send it down, fill it up with your supplies, then pull the milk crate up for the day. And you only went down for your lunch break. The rest of the day, you were up there. So you had to fill this thing with bottles of water or whatever. You weren't even taking bathroom breaks. You were on the roof. And the manager would only come and check on you once, maybe twice a day. So what you would do what I would do is I found out, oh, there's a power outlet up here. I'm going to bring up an extra extension cord today, and I'm going to bring my phone charger. So I plug it in. I bring an adapter so I can leave the grinder plugged in and my phone. And I steal some duct tape from down there as well. So I get under position. I'm going to work under the air conditioner this week. I tape my phone underneath a steel beam, plugged in.
Wow.
I lay there with the grinder in my hand. I have unlimited data at this time, mind you. Pop up open Netflix, and this is my Modern Family phase. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to start season 2. Play. Hold the grinder in my hand until the boss comes up. The boss comes up. I see him. Hey, how are you? Cool. Everything's good. He goes down. I take everything down. I move 25 feet down.
Oh, man.
Reset everything up. Start again. Next time he comes up, oh, you made some progress. Yep, everything's good. Boom. 8 hours. I watched about 21 episodes.
Wow.
Of a single season of television on a roof.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Well, this is like what I love the long con and like the thought that went into this, the ingenuity to get away with doing nothing and even doing more than nothing, actually entertaining yourself. Yeah. This is James Bond level stuff. So, I mean, obviously you're getting 3 points. And Mitch, first I was going to give you 3 points, and then I remembered I have to take the Florida tax. Any story that is in Florida gets deducted a point. But then you told me that at the very end, the coup d'etat, when you ordered that last round on Dr. Tom, so that bumped you right back up to 3 points. So it's we got a close game brewing here, and it's back to Mitch for the number 1. And oh boy, I can only imagine what we're in for now.
I hope that the IRS has like algorithms that just listens to every podcast looking for crimes. I hope they catch Dr. Tom for expensing all those fucking drinks on his business. I really hope so. My number 1 really should have been my number 2.
Oh dear.
I call this a silent but deadly protest. There was a woman on our floor when I worked at the association, and she had some hard objections to some management changes that were being made, and she was not very happy. And also, they put code locks on our bathroom doors because people were coming down to our floor from other floors to use the restroom, and so we wanted to like lock down that area. And this woman didn't like that she had to punch in a code. It slowed down her trip to the bathroom in some way. She was quick to be angry, and then one day. My desk mate and my best friend Joy comes back from the bathroom, and she goes, she was like, oh my fucking God, you would not that can't finish a sentence. And then she goes, there's a fucking turd on the floor next to the toilet. Oh, and I was like, wait, hold on, back up. I was like, is there a trail to it? Did it hit the seat and fall off? What? And she was like, no. This is not like no, there was no other mess. This was a clean, well-formed turd that was just next to the toilet. So someone purposefully was like, you know what? Let me stake my claim here. Boom, next to the toilet, left it there. And as you can imagine, this is off-putting. No one knows what to do. People initially are like, oh my God, are they okay? Is there a problem? Like, do they need that kind of thing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, if it's an accident, like if you got in the hardcore, Hershey Falls tummy rumbles, you're going to clean that up. You're not just going to leave it behind, right? Because you're going to be embarrassed by that. At least I hope to God. And so it dawns on everyone after like a day of this, like, oh, this was on purpose. And of course, management.
Who cleaned it up? Who did clean it up?
The custodial staff.
Oh, poor guys.
Yes.
And girls and gals
yes.
and whoever. Yeah. That's awful.
And yeah. And so, but management doesn't know, like what do you just send out an email and be like, hey guys, don't poop on the floor anymore? You can't, like that can't happen. That can't be on record. So just sort of like it becomes this sort of like shadow warning that people, send out through conversations, like, let's not do this. And there was also a theory that someone from another floor perhaps didn't like our department and came down and did this. That was another theory that floated out there that got way too much credence. And so what they did was they changed the bathroom lock code. But either this like went to her spam inbox, or she didn't find it, or she got too many emails. I don't know what. But the woman who ended up being the perpetrator didn't find this out. So she goes to the bathroom one day, doesn't have the lock code, has to go to another floor. People see her doing that. People from the other floor give her shit for coming to their floor to use the bathroom, and she gets embarrassed by that. So once she does get the bathroom code, she attacks a second time. She leaves another turd on the floor right next to the toilet.
She does a double deuce?
A double deuce. She goes back again. Oh, no. And so now this forces management on our floor. There's maybe like 20 people that work on our floor. I think 2 different departments. So we all have like an all floor meeting in the conference room. And the amount of verbal gymnastics that our manager did to be like, okay, so, there's been an issue recently with the women's restroom, and I don't, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Yeah. And like basically after like 3 days of people just gossiping and chatting, like it got narrowed down very quickly to like who it was. Cause also you have timestamps on when people go in there. The
poopatrator was uncovered eventually.
She was. Yeah. But technically couldn't prove it. So it's sort of like, process of elimination. But the custodial staff did not clean up the second one. So someone from that side of the floor where that woman sat ended up. I don't know if she cleaned it up. I don't know who did, but it got cleaned. Yeah. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. So she wasn't fired. She wasn't officially outed. This was just.
No. This woman was famous for her just uncanny loyalty to this association for no good reason. Like she always worked late, didn't have to, always showed up early, didn't have to. Like she just loved this place, but it didn't love her back.
Then why scar it?
Because she was also mad. She would get mad at her current managers and that kind of thing. Like she kind of loved like the old idea of what the place used to be. So and didn't she didn't like change. So
she pooped on the floor twice.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yep.
This is a grown woman with a job, presumably making upwards of $50,000 a year, maybe. And she pooped on the floor twice.
She pooped on the floor twice. Yep.
I just don't know where we go with this.
My favorite part was someone from our side of the floor went over to the other side and just like yelled like, y'all fuck, or probably didn't say fuck, but y'all nasty, like get your house in order. Yeah, it was such a strange 2 weeks. It was.
I have one final follow-up question.
Depressing. It was so depressing, honestly. Yeah.
Did anybody confront her directly?
Off hours, not in the office. Yes.
Okay, and what was her response, if you heard?
She acted like she had no idea what they were talking about.
Just full denial?
Full denial. Yeah, full denial.
I guess that's the only way you can play it.
Yeah. There's no other way you play that.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that was truly shocking.
Yeah.
Brian, bring us home.
I can't top that. This is not going to be as exciting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm sorry, Judge. I'm sorry, everyone. This was just my last personal triumph that I was most proud of, mainly because of how the math checks out. Mm-hmm. We're leaving Dominic's. We're going back to Jewel. This is the time I took a 3.5 hour break on a 4-hour shift.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
Just those numbers just make me so proud of this day that I will always remember it. And the only reason it was able to accomplish is because we had a manager that day that was pissed off at upper management. He was just like, fuck it. We're not doing shit today. I'm like, all right, cool. What do you want to order pizza? And he was like, yeah, let's get a pizza. So, and this guy always ordered pizza well done. He loved like crispy cheese on the top. He's one of those guys. I'm like, all right, cool. We'll order it from the place across the street. We'll get it well done. Takes longer. I'm like, what should we do in the meantime? He's like, let's go upstairs and wait for them to make the pizza. I'm like,
Nice.
Okay. So we all got like whatever our favorite drink was. Usually we called it the Jewel brand soda at the time was called Super Chill.
Oh yeah.
And it was always on sale. So you'd go and get the diet for like 70 cents a 2 liter.
Nice.
Then you go to the deli section and get a quart cup that they would put like macaroni salad in, empty. Then you would walk to the seafood department, go to the back because that's where the good ice is, where they pack in all the fish.
Mhm.
You get the big cup of that little pebble ice. You go upstairs and you start chugging your Super Chill. And oh man, those were the days. Like those days made actually working in a grocery store fun because it was like 5 or 6 of us just all not giving a shit. For whatever reason, there were like 3 or 4 customers that night. It was just a dead night. It must have been like some sort of sporting event or something. I have no idea why it was so dead.
Mm-hmm.
But like we were ahead of schedule. Like we got an early order. So like everything was stocked. Like there was really like just nothing to do. And then we got a bullshit task for something just because all the normal work was done. And he was like, we're not doing that. That's dayside. We're not doing that. This would have been like a 6 to 10 shift. So I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And we just sat there. We bullshitted. And I kept looking at the clock. And I'm like, is this going to happen? Like I went downstairs and saved face for literally only like 25 to 30 minutes just to like, so the security cameras would see me.
Yeah.
And like the rest of it, we were just up there hanging out and it was glorious.
Wow.
I remember I got home and I bragged to my parents, you're not going to believe this.
How was the pizza?
And they were like, yeah. Oh, it was delicious.
Thank God. Whew.
Delicious. This would have been from Rocky's Pizza in Westchester, which they use so much cheese. So much cheese. It's amazing. It's like thin crust and like an inch of cheese.
Oh my God.
You will be blocked for days and it will be worth it.
Man. Well, this reminds me of a story of my own that I'll share with one of my office jobs. I was working at a medical association in River North in Chicago, much like Mitch is told. But I worked on the top floor, the executive floor, and I was a temp. And they had split me between 2 departments. I don't really remember what one was, but then the other one was like the sort of, administrative stuff for like the top brass. And so they had me sitting like in the middle, sort of at the reception area with the actual receptionist. And then I would get assignments from one department or the other. And I realized that they would assume if I'm just sitting there looking busy, that the other department had given me something. And so I challenged myself one day. I went in and I did nothing for the entire 8-hour day. Both sides thought the other team had me doing something and I did nothing. I clocked in at 8:30. I left at 5 and I had done nothing. Nothing. I read every article on ESPN at the time. I did zero work and got paid for an entire day. And it wasn't my fault because I was just waiting and nobody came and told me to do anything. And then everybody was like, hey, have a good night. Thanks for everything today. So Brian, for actually doing half an hour of work, I have to deduct you a point. Although I am, of course, very proud of you. And then Mitch, I mean, I don't even know what to say about the double deuce. I just have to keep giving you these 3 points, and so it ends up Mitch 14, Brian 13. So Mitch is the winner. But what an odyssey! Because I have known you guys for such a long time, and some of these they were either stories that I'd only heard bits and pieces of, and I didn't get all the details, or I hadn't heard them at all. And just thank you so much for some wonderful anecdotes today. And that leaves us back with my Fast 5, the top 5 job interview questions of all time. Number 5, do you have a criminal record? And if so, which crime was the most fun? Number 4, are those chocolate covered almonds in your breast pocket? Can I have a handful? Number 3, be honest, do I come off as too needy? Number 2, Is freedom a transcendental idea which is mainly empirical, whether a faculty of beginning a series of successive things or states from itself is to be assumed, or is the practical concept of freedom the independence of our will from the coercion and necessitation through sensuous impulses? Number 1, who are you? How did you get in here? And why are you wearing my pants? And that's this week's edition of Über Cinco. Photocopying his hindquarters during the Christmas party, even though he was reprimanded for this last year, is the Ginger Prince,
Mitch Brinkman.
And the CFO of TNA at UBK,
Brian Ernst.
And I'm Nathan Hennenfent. As Bizbear always says, we'll circle back next week. Auf Wiedersehen and adios.
You've just listened to Über Cinco, a production of UBK Studios. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your fine podcasts from.
If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/UBK Studios. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on and the bill collectors at bay.
Keep tabs on us on all the social media at UBK Studios, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see that we really are just a bunch of good Midwestern boys.